All right, Reddit, buckle up, because I've got a story for you that perfectly encapsulates the special kind of hell that is being mistaken for retail staff when you're just trying to live your damn life. My name's Aubrey, and this little adventure at Wally World still makes me twitch. So picture this, I work at a super cheerful, fun, and educational children's center. You know the vibe, bright colors, kids' laughter, and a constant low hum of controlled chaos. Our director, in a well-intentioned but ultimately misguided move, decided all the teachers and aides needed a uniform. Enter the royal blue t-shirts, emblazoned with the center's name and logo. Now I'm all for team spirit, but I'm not really one to wear my job on my sleeve, especially when I'm off the clock. Still, it was a new shirt, and hey, it was free. One particularly sunny afternoon, my mission was to stock up on supplies for the center. Think glitter, construction paper, and enough disinfectant wipes to drown a small army of germs. So I threw on my new, still crisp blue uniform shirt, thinking nothing of it since I was technically on center business, and headed to our local Wally World. There's something about those giant, brightly lit aisles that makes me feel like I'm on a treasure hunt. I was in my element, piling my cart high, feeling like a frugal superhero saving the center money one multi-pack of crayons at a time. I was a one-woman shopping machine, humming along to the terrible music, completely in my own world. That's when I heard it, a deliberate, almost theatrical hum right behind me. I spun around, and there she was, a woman who looked like she'd gone headfirst into a bargain bin at a hunting store. Pink camo cap, matching vest, and a general air of "I demand to speak to your manager." Let's call her Pink Camo Lady, or PCL for short. My first thought was, wow, that's a look. My second thought was, please don't be talking to me. But of course, she was. She stared me down, her expression a mix of impatience and entitlement, and then, in a voice that clearly hadn't learned the meaning of indoor volume, she barked, "How do you greet customers here?" I blinked. Had I somehow teleported into a new dimension where I was suddenly a Wally World greeter? Confused, but trying to be polite, I managed. I don't actually work here, ma'am. I'm just picking up some supplies for the daycare center." I even gestured vaguely at my blue shirt, hoping she'd connect the dots from blue shirt to daycare logo and then to not Wally World. Big mistake, her eyes narrowed. "I saw that shirt, young lady. You're clearly on the clock. Now you get back to work and learn some manners." My pleasant shopping mood started to curdle. "No, really," I said, my voice a bit tighter now. "This is my work shirt, but I work at a different place. I'm just a shopper like you." I even tried to show her the little cartoon mascot on my logo, but she just scoffed. "Don't you lie to me," she practically screeched, attracting a few curious glances from other shoppers. "I know a slacker when I see one. You think you can just wander around when there are customers who need help. Now you get over to electronics and help me find a new TV." Okay, that was it. My internal politeness filter officially dissolved. My face felt hot and a sarcastic little imp in my brain took over. "Lady," I said, my voice dropping dangerously low, "I told you, I do not work here. My job involves teaching toddlers how to use safety scissors, not selling 70-inch flat screens. Find an actual employee." PCL's face turned a shade of puce that almost matched her camo. "Oh, so now you're being rude and refusing service? This is outrageous. I demand to speak to your manager. What's your name?" "What's your store manager's name?" She even took a step closer as if to peer at a non-existent name tag. A laugh, a little too loud and a little too mirthless, escaped me. "My name is Aubrey, and my manager is the director of a children's center, not this store. And you, ma'am, are seriously, profoundly, hilariously out of line." The noise we were making had clearly reached critical mass, because suddenly, a genuinely concerned Wally World employee, a young guy with a name tag that actually said Wally World on it, materialized beside us. "Is everything all right here?" he asked, looking between PCL's flushed, angry face and my own, probably equally flushed, exasperated one. PCL pointed a trembling, pink camo-clad finger at me. "Finally, your employee here is being incredibly rude and refusing to do her job. She won't even tell me her name or manager. She just stands there arguing." The Wally World employee looked at my blue shirt, then back at PCL, then back at me. A slow realization dawned on his face, and then, God bless him, a tiny smirk. "Ma'am," he said very politely, "she doesn't actually work for Wally World." "That's a daycare uniform. See the little bear?" He pointed to my logo. PCL went silent, her jaw dropping open. Then, a wave of denial. "What? That's ridiculous. It's blue. They all wear blue," she shrieked, as if the color blue was solely owned by Wally World. I couldn't help it. I met her eyes, a triumphant, almost smug smile spreading across my face. "Yeah," I drawled, "they do. I don't." She spluttered something incoherent about confusing uniforms, glared daggers at me one last time, and then, muttering about poor customer service and people should be clearer, stomped off towards the actual electronics department, her pink camo vanishing around the corner. The Wally World employee chuckled, shaking his head. "Thanks," I said, still a little breathless, "you wouldn't believe." He just grinned. "Oh, I believe it. Happens all the time." And with that, he went back to his duties, leaving me to finish my shopping, feeling lighter, victorious, and definitely planning to change into a plain t-shirt next time I ran errands in my work uniform. Lesson learned.
Still watching? Dang, you must love internet drama. Smash subscribe. It's cheaper than therapy.
Ever had a boss so infuriating, so utterly convinced of their own authority that you just had to hit them where it hurts? Yeah, I've got a story about that. It involves my last job, a botched schedule, and a floor manager who quickly learned you don't mess with an employee on their way out. So hi guys, it's Aubrey. My dad retired recently and we were finally making the big move out of state. I was stoked. It meant leaving my little craft store job, which, honestly, I was ready for. I handed in my 2 weeks' notice, did all the proper paperwork, and specifically marked my last day as the 18th. I even double-checked the official schedule. My shifts ended on the 18th. Everything seemed clear. A few days later, my store manager, not the absolute goblin we'll get to later, pulled me aside. He said, "Aubrey, we were kind of hoping you could stick around until the 20th. I explained, again, that I was literally packing my life into boxes to move across state lines and couldn't possibly. He seemed to get it, promised to adjust the schedule to reflect my agreed-upon last day. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, crisis averted, smooth sailing to my new life. I worked my final shifts, said my bittersweet goodbyes to the coworkers I actually liked, and clocked out for the very last time on the 18th. The feeling of freedom, incredible. I went home, already elbow-deep in bubble wrap and packing tape, totally buzzing about the move. I was done. Or so I thought. The very next day, the 19th, my phone rings. It's the craft store number. I picked it up, expecting it might be a forgotten uniform or something. Instead, I was immediately hit with a torrent of rage. It was the floor manager, let's just call him Manager Karen, screaming down the line, "Aubrey, where are you? You're supposed to be here." My jaw probably dropped. "Manager Karen," I said, trying to stay calm but already feeling a prickle of annoyance, "I don't work there anymore. Yesterday was my last day. I'm literally packing to move out of state." He didn't care. "Not one bit. The store doesn't arrange itself to your schedule, Aubrey. You're still on the schedule. Get in here now." He just kept yelling, oblivious to reality. I tried, one more time, to explain the situation, about my 2 weeks, about the store manager agreeing to my last day. But he just kept yelling over me, insisting the store didn't arrange itself to my schedule, and demanding I drop everything and come in. Then he dropped the bombshell. "If you don't show up, you won't get your final paycheck until Friday, and that's if I even release it." That was it, my calm facade shattered. He wasn't just confused, he was actively trying to strong-arm me, holding my paycheck hostage. My blood ran cold, then boiled. "Manager Karen," I said, my voice dangerously quiet, "I don't work for you. I don't work for that store, and you absolutely will not illegally withhold my paycheck." I didn't wait for a response. I hung up the phone with a satisfying click. He called back immediately. I let it ring, and ring. Then I blocked the number. The audacity, threatening my last paycheck. Oh honey, no. A few minutes later, I got a text from the store manager asking if everything was okay, that manager Karen was confused about my schedule. I quickly messaged him back, laying out exactly what manager Karen had just said and done, specifically the illegal threat about my paycheck. The store manager, bless his heart, immediately called me, apologized profusely, and assured me my check was ready that day. I went in, collected my final pay, gave a quick, grateful nod to the decent store manager, and drove off, feeling a potent mix of relief and simmering rage. But I wasn't just going to let it go. The moment I was officially out of state, settled in my new place, I made one final call, not to the store, but directly to corporate HR. I detailed every single thing manager Karen had done. The screaming, the false claims of being on the schedule when I wasn't, and most importantly, his blatant attempt to make me work off the clock and illegally withhold my final paycheck. I never heard what happened to manager Karen specifically, but I sleep soundly knowing I did everything in my power to ensure that kind of power tripping, illegal behavior didn't go unchecked. So yeah, guys, that's the story of how I left my last job with a bang, a bit of justice, and a strong reminder. Always stand up for yourself, especially when a manager Karen tries to strong-arm you. Some hills are absolutely worth dying on, especially when it comes to your money and your dignity.
You ever have one of those shifts where you just know the universe is conspiring against you? This past weekend, the cosmos decided to throw me a curveball, dressed in a hospital gown and a scowl that could curdle milk. As a pain management doc, I thought I'd seen it all, but this guy was a whole new level of "I don't work here, sir." It was a nightmare of a weekend in the hospital. I was Julian, a pain management physician, and I was seriously running on fumes. Every hallway felt like a racetrack, every pager buzz a gunshot. I was trying to keep as many patients as comfortable as possible, but let's be real, a doctor's best efforts are sometimes just background noise to some folks' entitlement. I was deep into my rounds, checking in, adjusting meds, trying to be the calm in the storm for people genuinely in pain. Then I walked into his room. This wasn't a difficult patient. This was an irate individual radiating hostility. He looked at me and I swear, his eyes were saying, "Try me, pal." I've dealt with my fair share of ungrateful patients, but this one felt like he'd been marinating in vinegar for a week. Still professional that I am, I pushed past his death glare, introduced myself, and explained I was there to help with his pain. That's when it started. He didn't acknowledge me as a doctor, not even a flicker of recognition. Instead, he just pointed at his food tray still sitting there and barked, "Clear this." Now, I blinked. My first thought was, seriously. My second was, maybe he's just disoriented from the meds. I mean, I'm not a nurse or an orderly, but I'm a team player, and sometimes you just gotta roll with it to keep the peace. So, a little confused but trying to be helpful, I started gathering the discarded packaging and dishes. As I was doing this completely out of my lane task, his wife walked in. She shot me this look, pure, unadulterated sympathy, almost like a silent apology. It was the kind of look that said, "Oh, honey, you're about to get roped into a world of hurt and I can't even help you." She wasn't wrong. No sooner had I finished clearing the tray than the patient exploded again. "I need to use the bathroom. Get me to the bathroom now." He wasn't asking, he was demanding. Okay, this was definitely not my job. I mean, my entire medical education did not include assisted ambulation to the latrine. I tried to explain calmly, "Sir, I'm Dr. Julian. I'm your pain management physician. I can certainly call a nurse to assist you, but I'm not the one who should be helping you with that." He didn't just not listen, he actively ignored me. His face went red. "I don't care who you are. You're here, aren't you? Your staff, help me." He was getting louder, more agitated, and frankly a bit aggressive. This wasn't just a rude patient. This was someone losing it, and I was alone in the room. My safety, and frankly my sanity, was starting to feel pretty tenuous. I definitely didn't want to end up as a hospital incident report headline. Sir, I said, my voice firm despite the adrenaline starting to pump, I am a physician. I need to call a nurse for this. If you continue to raise your voice and demand things outside of my scope, I'm going to have to ask security to be present. He just scoffed, but I wasn't waiting. I called security, explaining the situation and asking them to come simply as a witness to his escalating refusal of appropriate services and his general belligerence. The security officer arrived, standing silently by the door. The patient, seeing the uniformed presence, seemed to realize his antics weren't getting him anywhere. His aggression deflated into a petulant glare, and then it finally clicked for him. He looked at me, then at the security guard, then back at me, and a slow, dawning horror crossed his face. "Wait a minute," he said, his voice surprisingly quiet for a second. You're the pain doctor, aren't you?" "Yes, sir," I confirmed, "Dr. Julian, as I've told you several times." His face contorted from realization to indignant rage. "Well, you're fired. I demand a new doctor. You're useless." My patience, like his pain meds, had officially run out. I looked him straight in the eye, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "Sir," I said, "I am the only pain management physician on call this weekend. And as of this moment, I am no longer your doctor. I will have the nurse notify your primary team that I have officially discharged myself from your care due to your abusive and uncooperative behavior." I turned on my heel and walked out, leaving him sputtering in disbelief. I was shaken, no doubt, but I knew I'd done the right thing. You can only give so much when someone is actively trying to take advantage of you. Later that day, a nurse, bless her heart, came up to me, barely containing her laughter. "Dr. Julian," she whispered, "you wouldn't believe it. He was practically begging for you after you left. Said he didn't realize who you were. The look on his face when he finally understood you were the only one who could write that prescription for his meds. Pure gold. Absolutely priceless." It was the sweet, sweet sound of justice, read it, all in a day's work for a pain management doc. Hope you guys enjoyed the ride.
This one pairs perfectly with what you just watched.